Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if, Naruto x Thalia Grace, part 2, hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. Luke gulped nervously, as he kneeled before Chrono's coffin, containing the remains of the Titan King, that grew with each new demigod that joined their fight against the Olympians. My Lord Kronos, there has been news from my spies in Camp Half-Blood. 2 new demigods have recently arrived, the children of Hades. And not only that, but we have learned that Chaos has chosen a champion, one whose power rivals, if not surpasses, the gods. Luke said, while shuddering when the coffin rattled lightly, before going still. So, Chaos has now chosen to intervene in our war. Kronos stated, the Titan would have scowled if he could, as this presented a problem for his plans, if the first primordial was intervening. That's not all, my lord, the minor gods that have sided with us, they have reported that Olympus has descended into madness. The reason being, that the great prophecy it's gone, not altered or changed, simply gone. Luke said, well worried of what this could mean, since a prophecy simply vanishing has never happened before, let alone one, as important, as the one deciding the fate of Olympus. This news definitely had Kronos' full attention, the great prophecy was no more. This was good, very good, as it meant he no longer had to try, and persuade any of his son's demigods to join him. Now he can personally destroy the gods himself. Not only that, but he was sure he could twist this into his favor, and speed up his resurrection. The great prophecy is gone. With the prophecy gone, it all but assures our victory. Go, tell the forces of this, and have them spread it among the demigods, that the time of the Olympians will soon end. Kronos ordered, with Luke nodding, while being relieved that he wasn't punished for this news, and that with the disappearance of the great prophecy, it means they would succeed in their goal to overthrow the Olympians. Later, Luke looked over Kronos' army of monsters, demigods, and minor gods that had joined them. Most of them were muttering amongst themselves, all of them on edge with the news of the champion of chaos revealing themselves, and the power they possess, along with the fact the great prophecy was no more. But he's sure that with the news he'll tell them now, it will invigorate them, and show that they have chosen the winning side. And hopefully, it'll bring more demigods to their cause, as well. Listen, all of you. I'm sure you're all worried, with the news of the champion of chaos, and their power, along with the disappearance of the great prophecy. But I have come to tell you, that this is proof that our cause to overthrow the Olympians is a just one. Because now, we no longer have a prophecy to decide for us who will win, we will win by our own strength, not because it was decided. And together, we will make a better world for all demigods, one where we don't have to prove ourselves to our so-called parents, but the Titans ushering in a true golden age for all. Luke declared, with the demigods cheering at his words, with the minor gods only wanting payback against the Olympians, and the monsters not really caring, only wanting the Titans in control, so they wouldn't have to worry about being hunted anymore. Unfortunately for Luke and Kronos, this wasn't a sign of their impending victory, but one where the future was no longer set in stone. With it now being left to one person to decide how the future goes. With that person being the champion of chaos, the very person that they should have been wary of. With the Fates. Meanwhile, the Fates were currently running around, panicking, and getting angry, as all around them, the threads of fate and lifelines were coming unraveled around them. And there wasn't anything they could do about it. Nothing was going right anymore, everything was falling apart. Dozens of fated events were no longer happening, and in fact, were being erased before their eyes. Bianca D'Angelo joined the hunters, only to die after going on a quest, Artemis being captured, and forced to hold up the sky, Zoe Nightshade being killed by her father, and Thalia Grace taking her place, as lieutenant. All of it was gone. Even now, the Fates tried looking into the future, but each future they saw, it was all vanishing before their eyes. What kind of sadistic retard watches this crap? The Fates finally screamed in frustration, as they saw the future they so carefully planned fell apart before their eyes. With Zamasu, I love this show, stated Zamasu, while sipping his tea, and watching, as all the various factions and pantheons tried figuring out the cause behind the sudden disappearance of their doomsday prophecies. His favorite though, was the one, where the beings that controlled fate were running around, like headless chickens. It was all quite funny to the first primordial. After watching, as the Fates were rendered hopeless, and useless, as those worthless old crones should be, as far as Zamasu was concerned. He waved his hand, changing the scene to show Camp Half-Blood, and his champion. Knowing that Naruto has a habit of providing great entertainment with his actions, Zamasu sat back to enjoy the show he's sure that Naruto will put on. Camp Half-Blood. Naruto walked through camp, while carrying several giant wooden logs over his shoulder, placing them in a pile, before going to get more. At the moment, Naruto was in the middle of collecting supplies to build his home here at camp, basing it off the hideout cabin that Goku Black and future Zamasu used in their original universe. Having found the perfect spot on one of the many hills surrounding Camp Half-Blood, giving him a view of the lake and forest. 2 days have passed since he, Bianca, and Echo were taken to Camp Half-Blood, with the siblings being claimed by their father Hades, and Naruto being claimed as the champion of chaos. Since then, they've gotten settled in for the most part, and familiarizing themselves with the camp. but Bianca and Neko getting settled in their new cabin, while Naruto searched for a spot to build his home. He was also able to get some target practice in at night, when the harpies tried attacking him, only to end up being vaporized. Though Naruto was mildly annoyed when Artemis returned to camp, revealing that she was being punished for attacking him. With the punishment being that she and her hunters were forced to stay at camp to watch him for the time being. But it wasn't that surprising, since Naruto was sure Artemis told the other Olympians what he did, and Zeus likely wanted him to watch closely. Not that it'd really matter, since none of them would be able to stop him from leaving, if he wanted. Thankfully, the hunters and Artemis haven't done anything besides glare at him from afar, but he's sure they'll try something again once the fear fades away. Placing another log in the pile, Naruto stepped back and began looking at everything he had gathered to see if he had everything he'd needed to build his cabin. But, while Naruto had been collecting his supplies, he didn't notice that he had drawn a large crowd, as all the campers looked at him in amazement at his casual show of strength. What made this even better, for all of the girls and the guys that swing that way, was that Naruto had done all this without his shirt on. Despite being only 14, Naruto had very well-defined muscles, though thankfully, not big bulky ones, but rather, more compact, but still rock-hard ones. With all the girls and the guys who were interested, happily taking in the free show that they were getting. He is really strong and big. Andromeda muttered, with a glazed look in her eyes. How does he do it? Buddy slam elephants, said Annabeth, torn between wanting to know how Naruto got so strong, and simply admiring the view. Oh, he could slam me, all he wants, Thalia said, shamelessly. Thalia, Annabeth said, in a scandalizing tone. Don't judge, Annie, you were thinking it too, retorted Thalia, with the daughter of Athena immediately looking away, with a blush on her face. Yeah, Annabeth, we're all teenage girls, with the hormones that come with it. So you don't really have any room to claim any moral high ground here, Andromeda said, knowing that they were in the middle of puberty, so it's only natural that they would have such thoughts and reactions. Bianca shook her head in amusement at the expressions on everyone's faces, but could understand them. Given she once saw Naruto training, back at Westover, without his shirt on, and she hadn't even been able to look at him for a week, without her mind turning to very adult thoughts. At least I learned to filter what I say, Bianca thought, having also accidentally said some embarrassing things during that time. Now she was better at keeping such thoughts to herself. She then gave Neko a light glare when he smirked at her. Unfortunately, her brother was also able to know what she was thinking, and never let her forget. Just wait, Neko, we'll see who's laughing, once you find someone to stare at, Bianca thought, smiling wickedly, knowing she'll get back at her brother when he finds someone that he likes. Hey Uzumaki. The sudden shout snapped everyone out of their ogling of Naruto to see who called him out. Only to groan or sigh when they saw Clarice LaRue walking up to Naruto with a smirk on her face. Is that? Bianca asked, still learning the names and faces of the other campers. Is she a child of Ares? Neko asked, getting a few surprised looks from the other campers. Yeah, how'd you know that? Said Annabeth, surprised that he knew who Clarice's dad was. It just seemed obvious, replied Neko, as he gave them a shrug, since while he and Bianca didn't know everyone's names and faces, they were given descriptions of what campers were born from rich gods-goddesses. And going by Clarice's appearance and attitude, it was obvious she was a child of the war god. Well, yeah, that's Clarice LaRue, daughter of Ares. She's also the resident camp bully, and has a habit of dunking new campers' heads in the toilets. I'm guessing she didn't do it to you too, given that Thalia trailed off. She's afraid we'll unleash an army of the dead on her, stated Bianca, with a deadpan expression, figuring Clarice didn't want to risk angering them, given who their father is, and the powers they inherited from him. Despite the fact that she and Neko had only just learned their father was Hades 2 days ago, and haven't even tried seeing what their powers were. But when dealing with the Lord of the Dead, it's probably better to be safe than sorry, even if he is one of the more relaxed gods. Yeah. But I'm guessing that since Naruto's only a champion, and after everyone learned what he did to the hunters and Artemis, she wants to fight him herself, Thalia said, while smirking, since it was clear how that was going to end. Shouldn't we stop her? Asked Selena Beauregard, worried and not wanting her friend to get hurt. Nah, I'm sure she'll be fine, maybe, Andromeda said, feeling a little vindictive to see Clarice get knocked around, still holding a grudge from when she tried dunking her head in the toilets when Andromeda first arrived at Camp Half-Blood. Clarice smirked as she walked up to Naruto, having been waiting for the chance to fight him after hearing he took down the hunters and even Artemis herself. Though she scowled when Naruto didn't even acknowledge her presence, even walking past her to go get more wood for his cabin. Hey, I'm talking to you, Clarice said, standing in front of Naruto while glaring down at him, with the Saiyan Shinji hybrid looking at her, boredly. And what exactly do you want, little girl? Said Naruto, with Clarice growling at being called a little girl. I heard you managed to fight all the hunters, and even Artemis herself. I wanted to see if you actually could fight, but so far, I haven't seen anything impressive about a runt like you, Clarice taunted, not being impressed by Naruto's strength, since she and her siblings were strong, as well. So, how about we spar to see if you really are as strong as everyone's saying, said Claris, eager for the chance to fight Naruto and see what he can do. Naruto looked at her for a moment before simply walking around Claris. No thanks, I'm busy. Maybe another time. Naruto replied, wanting to focus on getting his home built, with Claris scowling at his words before smirking. What's the matter? Is the big bad champion scared of everyone seeing he's not as strong as he claims? That you'd rather run away like a coward? Claris taunted, with the growing crowd around the two inhaling sharply, before looking at Naruto to see how he'd react. Naruto stopped mid-step at hearing Claris's words, while narrowing his eyes. Alright, the little brat wants to play tough, then we can play. Naruto thought, planning to show everyone just how outclassed they really are, when compared to him. Turning to face Claris, Naruto smirked, as he made a bring it gesture with his hand, before placing his hands behind his back. Smirking, Claris charged forward, and threw a punch at Naruto, who effortlessly blocked it with one finger. Not stopping, Claris began throwing punch after punch at Naruto, with the champion blocking everyone with only his index finger, while keeping his other hand behind his back. Then suddenly, Claris jumped back, surprising the daughter of Ares. What the would I do that? Claris said, not having meant to jump back. Well, that's impressive. I was just about to attack and end this, but your body reacted, and likely saved your life. I suppose you do have good instincts, rather than just run in and fight. Naruto mocked, before turning serious. Then to everyone's shock, he immediately vanished in a burst of speed. However, said Naruto, appearing behind Claris, shocked everyone again at his sudden reappearance, with Claris turning to look at him in disbelief. I'll now show you something. A very small display of true power, Naruto said, before raising his hand and flicking Claris. Then to everyone's further shock, the demigod was sent flying into the air with a scream. Naruto then vanished again, reappearing behind the airborne Claris, with his arm pulled back to head her. Only for Naruto to smirk, and rather than head Claris, he merely placed his hand on her shoulder. Despite it not seeming like an attack, Claris cried out in pain, as she felt her shoulder was knocked out of its socket, before she was sent crashing to the ground, with a crater forming from the impact. Everyone could only look on in muted shock, and even a little fear, at what they just witnessed. Even more so, as they saw that Naruto was still flying in the air, before descending back to the ground. Is it the same power you used against Artemis? Andromeda asked in amazement at just how quickly Naruto took Claris down, along with a little pity at hearing the daughter of Ares groan in pain, as her siblings picked her up, and rushed her to the infirmary. Oh please, if I used the same strength against Artemis, she'd be little more than a red stain, just from my flick. What you saw wasn't even 1% of my power, replied Naruto, shocking everyone further to hear he didn't even use 1% against Claris, along with amazing those that previously saw him fight. Okay, that settles it, you have to teach us to use Kai, Thalia said, smiling in excitement, now wanting to learn to use Kai even more now. Only for her eyes to widen, when Naruto suddenly reappeared in front of her, holding her chin, and looking at her in amusement. I'm sorry, what exactly do I have to do? Said Naruto, with Thalia gulping at the close proximity. I meant could you teach us to use Kai please? Thalia asked, nervous that it may have come off as demanding, and she didn't want to risk angering someone who could throw her into orbit. Well, since it's coming from a beautiful girl like you, I suppose I could teach you how to use Kai, Naruto said, looking at Thalia, and then at Bianca, Neko, Andromeda, Annabeth, and Grover, all of them excited at the chance to use Kai, as well. Meet me by the beach in 2 hours, and come prepared. Anyone else who wishes to learn to use Kai is more than welcome to join, but be warned, the training will not be easy, said Naruto, directing the latter part to the rest of the campers, with some looking intrigued and interested at the idea of learning to use this Kai they were talking about. Naruto made the offer, since it'd be a good opportunity to get more allies, when the time comes. Nodding, the campers were about to go to their respective cabins to get ready, only for Naruto to wrap his arm around Thalia's waist, surprising the girl. And Thalia, don't worry about demanding anything from me. I have no problem fulfilling your every desire, Naruto whispered in Thalia's ear, with the demigoddess's face turning bright red at the insinuation. She immediately shook off his arm, and quickly walked away, while Bianca, Andromeda, and Annabeth gave her annoyed and jealous looks, only to look at each other with the same expressions, refusing to let the other girls get one over on them. Meanwhile, Neko and Grover look between the girls and Naruto in amusement. 20 drachmas says Andromeda makes the first move, Grover said. 30 says Bianca does, replied Neko. And 50 says you two will drop first during training. Hearing Naruto's voice made the two freeze up before looking and seeing Chaos's champion smiling sadistically at them, with his dark aura surrounding him. You try to be on time, children, I'd hate having to come find you if you don't show up. Ha 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 ha, said Naruto, while laughing madly, making the two shiver, before quickly running off. Later, Naruto stood before the gathered demigods, seeing that in addition to Bianca, Neko, Thalia, Andromeda, Annabeth, and Grover, almost 36 other demigods have also joined in to learn to use Kai. Okay, before we begin, for those that don't know what Kai is, Kai, which is also known as latent energy or fighting power, which directly translates to life force. Kai is a tangible energy within all living things, and with the right training, it can be drawn out and used for a variety of attacks and techniques, such as this. Naruto explained, before creating a black power ball, amazing all those that haven't seen it. With their amazement and shock growing, when Naruto aimed it at the ocean and fired it as a large yellow beam with a black aura surrounding it. The blast cut a path through the water before settling down. It can also be used to enhance one's strength, speed, endurance, and even achieve flight. A person's Kai can also be increased, with more training to surpass their physical limits, but it also requires Kai control, as the more Kai a person has, the harder it is to control. Now then, any questions? Naruto said, looking at the demigods to see if they wanted to ask anything before the training started. Is Kai like magic? One of the demigods asked, a child of Hike, to be more precise, thinking Kai was the same as magic. No, Kai is not like magic. While the two are similar, they're also completely different energies. With magic, it gives the user control over natural energies to manipulate, transform, or control anything or anyone. While with Kai, you use the energy that's within yourselves to increase your basic abilities, create attacks, and fly. Naruto explained, knowing people would think Kai was the same as magic, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Can you use magic? Annabeth asked, curious if Naruto could use magic as well as Kai. I know a little magic, yes. Bianca, Neko, come here for a moment. Naruto said, with the children of Hades stepping forward, wondering what Naruto was going to do. Everyone watched, as Naruto pointed two fingers at the siblings, a few tensing, believing he was about to kill them, with Naruto firing a purple beam at them. Rather than die, Bianca and Neko were surrounded by a purple aura, before to everyone's surprise, their clothes suddenly transformed into completely different outfits. Whoa. That's awesome. Neko said, amazed, and looking at his new outfit, seeing he was now wearing the black mage outfit from Final Fantasy. Though Neko was happy with his outfit, Bianca couldn't help but give Naruto an annoyed look at his choice of clothing for her. Lightning? Seriously? Bianca asked in embarrassment, not used to wearing such a revealing outfit. Yeah, you'd look better in Tifa's outfit. Naruto said, smirking, while aiming to transform her clothes again, only to stop when Bianca shook her head rapidly. No? No, lightning is fine. Bianca said, blushing brightly, since Tifa's clothing would be even more revealing than her current outfit. Besides, she supposed it'd be a good outfit to get Naruto's attention. Okay, as you could see, that was an example of magic, turning Bianca and Neko's clothing from their previous outfits to their current ones. Naruto said, before pointing his fingers at himself, transforming his outfit, as well, into a replica of Goku Black Sky, Naruto's preferred outfit to wear. Now then, if no one has any more questions, we can begin. Naruto said. I have a question, why are you still wearing that belt? Thalia asked, seeing Naruto was still wearing that weird fur belt she and the others saw him wearing when they first met. Looking at said belt, Naruto looked back at them, before to the demigod's shock, the belt unraveled and was revealed to actually be a monkey's tail. Well, I can't exactly get rid of something when it's attached to me, stated Naruto, turning around to show that the tail was in fact a part of him. You have a tail, why do you have a tail? Annabeth said, shocked to see he had a tail, and now even more confused than she was before when trying to figure out his origins. I have a tail because I'm a Saiyan, a race of powerful warriors and fighters. Saiyans are naturally in tune with Kai, making it easier for us to learn how to use it. Our tails also grant us access to a powerful transformation when certain conditions are met. Naruto explained, shocking the demigods further to learn about such a race of creatures. Where are the rest of the Saiyans? Andromeda asked. They were wiped out years ago by a frost demon tyrant that grew paranoid and fearful of their power and potential. Only a handful survived, with me being one of the few survivors, replied Naruto. What he didn't tell them was the fact that the Saiyans were in fact an alien race from another planet. Given Naruto would prefer keeping his cards close to his chest, at least until he was able to get more of their trust. Besides, this way, it also won't cause further chaos, since for those that are in the know about the rest of the supernatural world, will pass the Saiyans off as a race of Imkai that had been wiped out by a devil, like what happened to the Nekashu. Okay, no more questions. Let's begin, said Naruto, as everyone stood in attention, ready to start training. Time skip 3 days. 3 days have passed since Naruto started training some of the campers to use Kai. He had them start out by first meditating and sensing the Kai within themselves, before projecting it outside of their bodies. After they all had managed to do that, with some taking longer than others, Naruto began showing them the basics, like enhancing their strength and speed, along with working on flying. He was going to hold off on teaching them how to perform Kai blasts, until they had better Kai control, not wanting them to accidentally blow themselves, or each other, up. What surprised Naruto was that Andromeda, Thalia, Bianca, and Neko all had a fairly large amount of Kai. Though given their parentage, he supposed that would be obvious. Everyone else had moderate amounts of Kai, with Annabeth also having a surprising amount. Currently though, it was Friday, meaning it was time for capture the flag. And with the hunters here, it was also a friendly match between the hunters and Camp Half-Blood, of which the hunters have won the past 56 times in a row. Some of the campers had been hoping Naruto would join in, since if he was on their team, they would definitely beat the hunters. Even Chiron had been hoping Naruto would take part in the game, only for the champion of chaos to reject the offer, since if he took part, then it was likely Artemis would come out with even less hunters than she already had, since he knew at least some of the hunters would try something. Plus, Naruto didn't want to waste his time playing some games. Instead he just gave them advice on how to actually beat the hunters. They needed to work together and form an actual plan. Naruto did help Thalia and Andromeda, the co-captains, form a plan with Annabeth, though. It was decided that Andromeda and Bianca would guard the river, which acted as a border, where they'd be at their strongest. With Andromeda's control over water, and Bianca having worked on her umbrakinesis. While Thalia and Annabeth would make their way to the flag, with Selena leading a decoy team to lure the hunters away, giving them the chance to grab it. Once the game had started, Naruto had watched along with Chiron, Mr. D, and Artemis, with the moon goddess smirking the entire time, fully expecting her hunters to come out the winners, again. Only for her smirk to fade when she saw the game going in the demigod's favor, before being shocked when she saw Thalia successfully cross the river with the hunter's flag. The hunters exited the woods with dejected and downcast expressions, with Zoe being the worst. With the lieutenant being completely soaked after Andromeda sent a wave at her when she tried crossing the border with the camper's flag. What made it even worse was that not even a moment after it happened, Thalia and Annabeth came running across the river with the hunter's flag, with the daughter of Zeus happily rubbing it in her face. "Forgive us, my lady, we failed you," Zoe said, with the hunters bowing their heads to their patron. "It's alright, Zoe, you all did your best," said Artemis, still shocked that her hunters lost. Of the hunters, and Artemis's attention turned to Naruto when he started laughing, making them glare at the champion. "It must hurt first you lose against me, twice I might add, and now you lose to the campers you hate. That's gotta sting at your pride," said Naruto, while smirking at them. "Thou shalt be quiet, male," Zoe snapped, while glaring at Naruto in pure loathing. "Why, what are you gonna do? Shoot an arrow at me? We all saw how wonderfully that ended last time," replied Naruto, with the hunters glaring at him heatedly. "You do well to not antagonize my hunters, boy, or else," said Artemis, standing in front of her hunters, just in case they did try attacking Naruto, so she could protect them from his attacks. "Or what? You gonna turn me into a jackalope? Or maybe you'll turn me into a bear? That seems to be your response to anyone that pisses you off. Turn them into animals, and then kill them. Like you did with Callisto," Naruto said. "Callisto betrayed me, and my trust, when she broke her vows," said Artemis, glaring at Naruto, who merely smirked. "Is that what you tell your hunters, that she broke her vows, and betrayed you? Moonbrat, don't you know it's wrong to lie? Especially to those, do you consider your own daughters?" Naruto asked mockingly, while waving his finger back and forth, as if disciplining a child. "What's he talking about?" one of the younger hunters asked, who joined the hunt only 3 years ago, with the other newer hunters also being confused. "Nothing, he's just another lying male," Zoe said, refusing to believe anything Naruto said. "Oh really? So you don't want to know what happened to Callisto, what really happened? How she was raped by Zeus, after he failed to seduce her, by disguising himself as Artemis. How Callisto was ashamed of what happened, and tried hiding it. But it was eventually discovered, and just how did Artemis comfort her hunter, her supposed best friend, after learning she had been raped by her own father?" Naruto said, looking between the shocked and horrified younger hunters, and Artemis, who glared at him with glowing silver eyes, but he could still see a spark of fear and worry. "She didn't. Instead, the great and noble Artemis turned Callisto into a bear and threatened to kill her if she ever returned, leaving her alone, scared and pregnant. So much for being the goddess of childbirth and the protector of maidens," Naruto taunted. "Callisto should have come to me after it happened. Instead she hid it from me and only revealed what happened when she couldn't hide it anymore," Artemis retorted, defending her actions. "And how exactly could she have told you this? That she had been raped by your father while he was disguised as you? How exactly was Callisto supposed to tell you that, and not worry of the exact same thing happening, or being kicked out of the hunt and left on her own? Tell me that you wouldn't have reacted the same way and turned her into an animal, or kicked her out of the hunt. Go on, prove me wrong. Swear on the sticks that if Callisto had told you the truth, you wouldn't have done either of those things," challenged Naruto, his attitude changing to that of genuine anger and disgust at how Artemis was trying to justify what she did. This made the hunters look at their patron, hoping that she would prove that she was as kind as they believed. Only for Artemis to not have a response, and couldn't look any of them in the eye. "Would you have even tried getting justice for her, or would you have just kept being daddy's little girl?" said Naruto, Artemis once again not having an answer, making him scoff, before looking at the hunters. This is the woman you proudly serve, someone you abandoned and threatened to kill her supposed friends when they aren't brave enough to reveal that they had been used and thrown aside. And be careful when you're alone with your mistress, little hunters. You never know when it's another god in disguise coming to violate you as well. Wouldn't want any of you being turned into bears, now do we? Naruto said, sarcastically, before taking his leave, while the hunters looked to their patron. Lady Artemis, he was lying, right? Another young hunter asked, fearfully. Once again, Artemis couldn't find the words to respond, shaking them further. Finally looking to her hunters, Artemis saw that while her oldest ones, like Zoe and Phoebe, still had the same loyalty and admiration for her, refusing to believe what Naruto said. It broke Artemis's heart when she saw the fear and doubt on the faces of the younger hunters. Fear of her. I'm not a monster, right? Artemis thought, for once, starting to wonder just who the real monsters were. The ones she hunts, or herself. Naruto looked over his finished cabin, nodding in satisfaction at seeing how it turned out, before flying up to the deck, and took in the view he had from his cabin. Pleased at having managed to finish building it 4 days after the capture of the flag game, and exposing one of Artemis's dirty secrets. The Saiyan was also pleased that since then, Artemis and her hunters have stayed away from him. Even better, when he saw some of the hunters seem to stand a little further away from their mistress and sisters, those that still had complete faith in the moon goddess. It made Naruto smirk, knowing it destroyed Artemis that her hunters, who she saw as her own daughters, were now starting to be afraid of her more than the monsters they hunt. Though he was pulled from his thoughts, when he looked down, he spotted Andromeda, Annabeth, Thalia, Bianca, and Neko approaching the cabin. The latter two are still wearing the clothes he made them during their first training session. Is there something I can help you with? Naruto asked, wondering why they were here, since their Kai training wasn't for another hour. Well, we were wondering if maybe Annabeth said a little nervously, since they weren't sure if what they wanted to ask would be considered personal or not. How did you meet Chaos? Asked Neko in excitement, eager to learn just how Naruto met Chaos and became his champion. Neko? What did I say about interrupting people? Bianca hissed while grabbing her brother's ear, making the boy yelp. Ah, come on Bianca, you want to know just as much, said Neko, managing to free himself and rub his ear, hating when she did that, with the daughter of Hades not able to deny his words, since she did want to know. You want to know how I met Chaos and became his champion? Naruto asked while raising a brow, though he wasn't really surprised, since he figured it'd be something everyone was curious about. After all, it's not every day the first primordial chooses someone to be their champion, let alone interact with the world or the gods of all. Yeah. I mean there must be something special about you, that it managed to get Chaos's attention, no offense. Said Andromeda while adding the last part quickly, not wanting to sound offensive. None taken kid. Said Naruto smirking, while Andromeda's eye twitched in annoyance. And if you want to know how I became Chaos's champion, then come inside. Naruto said, while motioning them to follow him into his cabin. But the demigods being surprised and amazed at the interior, seeing it wasn't like the other cabins, and had various beds for campers, instead looking like a regular log cabin. With Naruto motioning them to sit down in the couches and chairs, the Saiyan does the same. So, you want to know how I became Chaos's champion? Stated Naruto, with the demigods nodding. That's right. How did it happen? When did you meet him? How long have you been Chaos's champion? Why were you Annabeth asked rapidly, unable to deny her curiosity, and her desire to know everything of how Naruto became Chaos's champion, only to be cut off by said boy. You must have quite the set of lungs to talk that much. Perhaps later, we can see just how loud you can be. Said Naruto, as he winked at Annabeth, making the blonde's face turn bright red. Naruto, can you just tell us how you became Chaos's champion? Bianca said, annoyed at him flirting with Annabeth. Oh, don't worry Bianca, I won't forget my lovely underworld princess. Naruto replied, with Bianca blushing this time. As for when I became Chaos's champion, I met Chaos about 6 years ago. Said Naruto, surprising the demigods. You met Chaos when you were 8, Thalia said, not expecting this, having thought it was only a few years ago, but not that many. Yes. It was after I had gone off to search for my incubator. Naruto answered, now confusing the group. Your incubator? Questioned Andromeda, not understanding what he meant by that. My birth mother, but really she was just an incubator that never raised or cared to check on me. My real mother was my stepmother, Kushina Uzumaki, which is why I use her last name, rather than my father's last name of Namikaze. Naruto replied, with his eyes turning cold at the mention of his birth mother, while the demigods were surprised again. Not to mention, that while he did take Kushina's surname in a way to honor her for raising him, and treating him like her own son. It was also that his father had been rather distant, treating him more like a permanent guest than his son. Sure, he still spent time with Naruto, and called him son, but for the Saiyan, it never really felt genuine, as if he was playing a part in a play that he didn't want to be in. Stepmother. Annabeth said, having a stepmother of her own, and definitely never thought of her as anything but a stranger, wanting to know how Naruto could see his own stepmother as his real mother over his birth one. Andromeda is also curious, given her own history with her asshole stepfather. Yes, my birth one left right after I was born, with my father soon meeting Kushina, not long after. With her raising, as her own, and for most of my life, I actually believed she was my birth mother. But it wasn't until I was 8 years old that I learned the truth, after my parents had been murdered, and I found my father's journal, leading to me learning about my birth mother, along with where I could find her. It was after that, I went to go find her to get answers on why she left," said Naruto, while seeing the demigods looking at him with wide eyes. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.